Ever wondered what it's like to be on a ship that is abandoned? In this video, I will show you the 10 most amazing abandoned ships in the world. From a luxury liner to a fishing boat, these ships have been left to rot for decades. Let's explore them together. But before we get started, can you subscribe to help us to grow our channel even more? And also ring the bell so you will always be updated to our new video. Number 1. Cincinnati Ghost Ship, Circle Line V. This ghost ship, which is almost 100 years old, is trapped in a muddy creek just beyond the Ohio River. The ghost ship, technically known as the Circle Line V, had served its whole life before being abandoned. The ship was built in 1902 as a luxury yacht for a wealthy railroad executive. The party, however, did not continue long. The ship was recruited into World War I in 1917 and renamed the USS Session. It should also see service in World War II. Number 2. Kiptopeke Concrete Ships in the Chesapeake Bay. Just off the coast of Kiptopeke State Park, 9 rotting ghost ships wait peacefully. It's strange to go down the beach and see these concrete military ships staring back at you. So where did they come from? These warships, like most concrete ships, were built during World War II. Because steel was in scarce supply, concrete was utilized in its place. Concrete, believe it or not, folks, just as well as if not better than steel. A Kiptopeke concrete ships each weigh over 5,000 tons and are about 120 yards long. As the war drew to a close, these concrete ships were housed in military depots across the country. The Virginia Ferry Corporation needed a breakwater to protect their new pier from harsh weather and waves. If you're up for a tip, you can actually rent a canoe right at the state park and paddle right up to one of the ships. Number 3. Mary D. Hume Shipwreck. This 19th century steamship lies idle off the coast of Oregon, rusting away. In its early years, the Hume was a commerce ship, transporting freight from Oregon to San Francisco, and it even served as a whale hunting vessel in the frigid waters of Alaska. Hume was set to retire in 1977, after sinking in the ice and requiring 3 new engines. A malfunction forced her to tumble off the sling and into the muck on the Gold Beach while trying to repair and preserve the ship for a museum display. A second attempt to fix her was conducted later in 1985. But she's saying due to another accident. There were several attempts to raise funds to assist restore the ship to its former splendor, but all failed. The humans are now simply another stricken vessel at sea. Fortunately, it is easy to visit, and it's even listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Number 4. Homebush Bay Shipwrecks. Homebush Bay is home to several abandoned ships at sea, including the SS Airfield and the SS Mortlake, which are both permanently anchored. The SS Airfield is by far the more spectacular of the two, as nature infiltrated the ship and transformed it into a small forest. Homebush Bay was once a shipbreaking yard, and these decrepit ships are the only vestiges. It's strange to see so many ghostly ships sitting out in the port surrounded by skyscrapers and commercial malls. Number 5. SS Maheno Shipwreck. The SS Maheno, which debuted in 1905, was one of the most cutting-edge ocean liners of its time. She had a capacity of just under 900 passengers and was outfitted with a refrigerated cargo hold, a smoking room, and all of the most up-to-date electric-powered safety equipment. During World War II, the Maheno was converted from a luxury ocean liner to a hospital ship. As the conflict began, the magnificent dining halls and smoking rooms were converted into medical wards and operating rooms. The Maheno's towline snapped loose during a storm on July 3, 1935, while being brought to the harbor for retirement. With 8 crew members on board, the ship sank helplessly into the sea. Since then, the boat has been trapped in the sand, wasting away. Number 6. MV Assalama Shipwreck. This is one of my favorite abandoned ships at CSUN. So much of it has been preserved. If a ship had been drifting around for 20 years, I suppose this is what it would look like when it returned. Assalama is a relatively modern shipwreck, having gone down in 2008. The ship collided with a wharf in Torfine, causing the accident. With 113 passengers on board, the ship ran aground and became stuck 5 miles off the Moroccan coast. Everyone was evacuated safely, but the mammoth ship is now doomed to a watery end with no one to save it. Number 7 MV Captayannis, aka the Sugar Boat. The Captayannis is not only a funding to say aloud, but it's also a one-of-a-kind ship disaster and one of my favorite abandoned ships in the world. The ship was a Greek sugar transporter that would perish on a stormy January night. The year was 1974, and the Captayannis was on its way to deliver sugar to a little town in Scotland. The storm caused the Captayannis, which was anchored offshore, to pull its anchor. This caused a hole beneath the waterline in the boat. Water began to pour in quickly. Due to a lack of time, the captain chose to beach the ship in shallow seas. The captain and crew were ultimately saved, and the ship had rolled over on its side before daylight. The capsized ship can now be seen from the coast and is home to birds and other sea creatures. Number 8 La Famille Express. This sunken ship is set against the stunning Caribbean backdrop, just a few miles from the Turks and Caicos Islands. This ship, however, was not always sailing in paradise. This ship was actually built half a world away in the Caspian Sea in 1952. It has had several names throughout the years, as do most abandoned ships around the world. Hurricane Francis battered the anchored ship so severely in 2004 that had moved it about 12 miles from its port in South Bank, on Providentially. The abandoned ship stands out against the tropical islands. Divers and boaters use her roasted remains as a beacon and exploration site. The ship is out too far to wade but accessible by jet ski or small boat. Number 9 Wreck of Eduard Bohlen. The skeletal coast has a region where a merciless sea meets an infinite expanse of sand. Of all the abandoned ships in the world, this one ended up in the middle of the desert. This is one of the most hostile settings on the planet. And it's most likely one of the last locations you'd want to crash your ship. But that's precisely where Eduard Bohlen ended up. The Eduard Bohlen became disoriented in a dense layer of fog on September 5, 1909, and slammed into the Namibian shoreline, stranding the skipper and his crew. Fortunately, the ship was the lone victim. Surprisingly, if you visit the ship today, it is approximately 500 meters from the shoreline, giving the impression that it was sailing through the sand dunes themselves. Number 10 HMVS Cerberus Shipwreck. This was a beast that lived up to its moniker. This ship, built in 1870, spent the majority of its career protecting Melbourne's coastal metropolis against intruders. During World War I, she served as a monitor ship and later as a supply vessel to aid submarines and other surrounding ships. Despite the fact that the ship never fired a shot in conflict or left its home board, the Cerberus has played an important role in keeping Australia's coastline safe throughout both war and peace. The ship was eventually demolished after being retried. Its hull was dragged out towards Black Rock and has never been recovered. Which of the abandoned ships on our list is your favorite? Let me know in the comments section below.